Next up, we're talking about limit. Limit allows us to control the number of results we get back. Now, a lot of the time this may not be that useful unless we're also sorting, but I'll show both of them together. On its own, limit followed by a number will limit the number of results we get back. So as I said, we could just select, the first five. Let's do author or book ID, I think is what we have, and title and released year from books. And we get, 20 rows. Okay. But I could limit that by just saying limit and then a number like 5, and that will give me the first 5. But what does that really mean, the first 5? It's just the first 5 based off of this order, which is the order they're stored in the table in. Maybe not that useful. But what if I wanted to get the first 5 books that were released, the earliest 5 released books? Well, I could sort or order by released year first. And that will give me all of the books sorted by released year, although we have that darn null in there that I really should get rid of. And then after that, I can limit it to 5. Now we get the first 5. So Cannery Row is 1945 up to Where I'm Calling From, 1989. Not a lot of super early literature in this table. Okay, so that's the basic usage of limit. You put some number in there, we can limit it to 10. And that will give me the first 10. Of course, if I change the order, if I order by released year descending, now I'm going to get the 10 most recent books, 2017 down to 2003. So most of the time I use limit alongside order by, but maybe if I'm just, honestly, one of the times I use limit the most is when I'm teaching and I have a table with a lot of results, a lot of values in it, and I just want to show students an example, I might limit it to the first 5. But in the real world, when you're not teaching, I usually use limit with order by. But we don't have to only get the first 5. We can do fancy things like this right here, where I actually have 2 numbers. Now this is actually equivalent to this one right here. So we are getting the first 5, going from 0 to 5. Let me just show that. Let me do this on different lines so that it's easier to look at. So order by released year. All right. And then after that, I'll say limit the first 5 just like that. Okay. But instead of saying 5, I'm going to do 0, 5. And what you'll see is when I do that, what happens is we get the exact same results, but I could instead say from 1 to 5. And the way that it works is that I've said start at 1 and go for 5. So I still want 5 total, but I want to begin with that first row, which it means not the 0th row. So the 0th row would have been this one right here. It's a little confusing. Let's try one more example. So once again, I'm just going to limit it to 10 this time so you can see what it looks like. But instead of 10, I'm going to say let's go from row 3 and let's only go for 2 rows. And this is what happens. We started at row 3 in this result. So 0, 1, 2, 3 is white noise. And then we carried on for 2 rows. So white noise and Where I'm Calling From, that's what we got. So this does allow us to select a subset in the middle of a grouping, not just the first 3 rows or the first 5 rows, but I could do from row 1 to row 10 or from row 25 to 27. If I needed to do that for some reason, I will say usually I'm just working with the first rows and I don't use 2 numbers for limit, but you can. Just remember this first number is the starting row and this second number is the count, how many you want to retrieve. So this one would start at row 5 and it would include 7 results. Let's try that one here. So from 5, 7, we started at, when I say row 5, let me just show this here. If I did 10, row 5 would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is indeed where we started, interpreter of maladies. And then we included 7 results, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it keeps going past what I have in this first 10. Another thing we can do, if I do a select, how about just title from books, and I'll just, we'll do it alphabetically, sure. Order by title. We have 20 rows, but let's say I don't know that, and I use a number that's out of bounds, that doesn't exist in this table, like I don't know, 40. What happens if I do a limit 40? It's just going to give me as many as it can. I don't get an error. Same thing if I said start at row 18 and go for this many rows. I don't get an error. I just get the last two because there's 20 rows. We start at 18 and we just go to the end. So that is one option, I guess, if you want to get rows from the end. And that's it for limit. So often I use it with a sort first, order by something, and then limit our results. You can use one number, which is probably more common. Just limit the first 5 results, and that's all you get back. Or you can say, I want a certain number of results starting at some point.